talking to your audience can feel a little bit like yelling into the void, if you don't have an established audience. But if you want real clients, referrals, and business that doesn't make you feel like you're in a sad group chat, let's have some proper conversations. If you're tired of the old cookie-cutter marketing advice and want to take your personal brand to the next level with bold, actionable strategies that truly reflect you, you're in the right place. Let's untangle your marketing mayhem with Zoe, the video confidence coach, on the Unboring Your Brand podcast. Unboring Your Brand was recorded on Wadawurrung land. Thank you to Tristan for reaching out via email for asking this question. They are starting their journey into the business and personal branding space, and they do not have a pre-established audience, and they're looking at these larger people who have been in the game for decades and feeling honestly intimidating, but also feeling a little bit worried that they won't be able to achieve the same thing. So I wanted to allay your fears, Tristan, and also give you a chance to be able to break down these barriers in a nice, easy, digestible format, almost like a podcast. Please come and join me. These types of conversations with your audience. Now, these can be done via content, so like something like a podcast or a live stream, all the way to social media posts, or even just email, like email marketing, or the conversations, essentially, however you're communicating to your audience, be it via whatever method you're using, you ultimately need to do these things. You ultimately need to do consistency. You need to know who you're talking to. You need to think about the easy conversation starters, not just for them, but for yourself. And shifting your mindset to not thinking that you're bothering people when you're trying to communicate to them. So, Tristan, and those who are listening and watching, of course, do not worry if you feel a bit icky about reaching out to people, because that is definitely, as someone who is on the slightly younger end, I'm 30, but I've always been the youngest in the room, let's just say that. And it can feel a bit icky, especially when trying to change the mind shift in yourself when it comes to your personal brand, about feeling like you're bothering people. It's my last point, but I'm going to jump to it now. And this mindset shift is something that comes with both experience and a bit of time. Unfortunately, it's not something that you can go straight out the bat, usually because there's a little bit of breaking that comfort zone for yourself and feeling comfortable within that new zone that you jumped into. And the mindset shift that you're thinking, or the mindset shift that you need to achieve, and don't do this by brute force, do all the other things that I'm going to mention in this podcast before you do it by brute force, is when you are marketing to people and when you are having conversations with your clients, potential clients, and influencers of those potential clients, you are not bothering people. Now, of course, that may seem a bit strange when it comes to marketing and we see ads that are infiltrating our daily life. Can seem a bit like, ooh, I'm being bothered by these messages, Zoe. So when I'm doing the work that I'm doing, aren't I bothering people? You aren't bothering them if you're inviting them into the conversation, especially when they already want to be a part of that conversation because they have a problem that you have a solution for. You are running this business brand, you're running this personal brand, or usually in my case with the clients that I work with, you're kind of doing a combination of the two, where you're running a business utilizing your personal brand. The people that are interested in the message and interested in what you have to say are following you for a reason. And if you keep showing up like a human and not like a billboard, they're going to connect with you. And when it comes to this, and I personally struggled with this for a very long time in my business, I felt like I was bothering them because I was interrupting their flow. I was interrupting their day. I'm going to tell you now, that is not what's happening. When communicating, that is not what is happening when you are putting out a post on social media, or you're sending someone an email, or when you're popping up in an advertisement. Yes, a lot of people have learned to tune that out, but if you are actually providing a solution to their problem, people want to hear about it. People definitely want a solution. And even if it is something that they don't see straight away, because most people need a minimum of about 14 to 16 touch points. Touch points are when people see your brand, see your face, see your message, and are able to connect that in their mind. Then that is what a touch point is. And as you can imagine, that may seem like a lot of touch points. When you get over that, first of all, mindset shift of understanding that you are not bothering people with the solution that you have to their problem, then those touch points get slightly easier because you can start actually actioning what we're going to talk about in the rest of this podcast episode. So Tristan, you still with me? Well done. So let's touch on to consistency. And we have plenty of podcast episodes about consistency, but ultimately consistency wins. You don't need to post every day. You don't need to be on social media, showing up in email inboxes every day. It can be a bit much for anyone, especially if you do not have a pre-established team backing you up or staff to help you with that. But showing up regularly builds trust. Like, if you are going to consistently be there for people, they're going to recognize and trust you that you are going to be there to solve their problem. Even if it is something as simple as weekly check-in moments on social media or on email to build up momentum. And again, email is, personally found, a less of a hurdle to jump over, because people who are on your email list are people who signed up to hear from you, signed up to your lead magnet or your marketing or something in that message that you have already said to them resonated with them to follow you, to join your email list. So I find that hurdle of bothering people, you kind of jump over that a little bit easier when it comes to email. And when it comes to your consistency, having something ultimately that you can do consistently is much better than having these grand plans to do all this stuff and then never do any of it because you don't have the time, the energy, or the resources to be able to achieve that. See, let's talk realistic here. And even if you are someone who has a team behind you who can support you, consistency is still incredibly prevalent, especially in your messaging, and who maybe, for example, people who reach out to you may be reaching out to an assistant or a staffer or someone else in your business, making sure that everyone still speaks the same language and still has that forward focus of I am here to solve your problem. Then it doesn't entirely matter who exactly they speak to. You are building that trust and consistency. And going back to the weekly check-ins, thinking that your customers or your potential customers asking them what's on their mind this week, that you can help them, because of course you will be known for something. I'm known as personal branding and video marketing. Why? Because that's all I talk about. And when it comes to your message and how you reach out to people, they will inevitably very quickly pick up on what you're putting down and the solutions that you provide. It's less about going viral and more about being reliable. I'll do that again because I made that rhyme in my scripting. It's less about going viral and more about being reliable. Like a good coffee shop. You are going to recommend a good local spot that you love because they are consistent. They do good coffee. You walk in, there's maybe there might be a line, but you're happy to wait because you know it has good stuff and the staff are nice and helpful. You're going to do it. And that is the same for your business. To get over that little bothering people mindset shift, Tristan, you can utilize something that I recommend, and especially when going back to basics, or a lot of people recommend, or when I come back to my marketing coaching, I always ask people to go back to who is your community? Who are you doing this for? Who is your customer avatar, your target market, if you want to get really technical and markety in those words. So breaking it down, your community is your past clients. They have already liked you enough to pay you money and either give you their trust and materials or access to sensitive information. Keep chatting with them. Make sure you're not leaving them behind for new ventures, because I think something like if people have bought from you in the past, they're more likely to buy from you again. And there's less effort that you have to spend and time that you have to spend getting them back on board because they've already paid you. And you did a good job, right? You bet do a good job. And in those moments that you didn't do a good job, you can show them that you're going to do a good job now. Stick with me here. In your community, you also have potential clients. So these are people who are lurking, and yes, we see you, don't worry. But these are people who have you on the periphery of their mind. They know they've got a problem, but it's not to the point where they need to actively seek a solution, but they've got you in their back pocket. They got you there, but they're still going to check up on you every now and again. And also in your community, you have referrals. So these are people who may never buy from you, but are always people who are happy to send people your way. These are other business owners who, say, for example, might be in my particular niche, but for example, they know who I work with, so they send people my way. And I also do the same in turn. I have parallel businesses who are not necessarily doing what I'm doing, but when they are like me, that either overwhelmed or, for example, they need someone who has come to them being like, hey, I need this video or I need this thing done for my marketing, and it's clear that they have no idea what they're talking about. Instead of this potential referral being just overwhelmed, being like, this is going to be so much work, they can send them over to me. I can sort them out, send them back over to them. Boom, done. And the referrals, especially when you do a good job, look like heroes because they've recommended someone who's able to solve their pain point. That is why referral marketing works, people. And I can do podcast episodes on that too if you want me to break it down for you. And the final part of your community, and arguably the most important, are fans who may not be the right fit for your business. So they may not need you or may not need you for a very long time, depending on the type of business that you run, but they love what you're about. They love your personal brand and they want to shout it out from the rooftops. And thank you everyone who is one of my fans, who has either, met me in person or has seen what I've done in the past and liked my vibe. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. And hopefully I'm able to keep your trust by serving well whoever you send my way. So thank you again. I tip my hat off to you. I'm not wearing a hat because this hair is not going to work under a hat. Mind you, I'm finally fixing my pirate hat, so you'll probably maybe see those in the future. I don't know if I can fit headphones under a pirate hat though. So when it comes to yourself and taking these actions, now that we've gone through the mindset shift, we've gone through consistency, and we've gone through community, maybe thinking of some easy conversation starters that can actually work for your community. Now, of course, these examples are going to be very broad because, of course, I don't know your community. I don't know who you're talking to. I don't know why you're talking to them. And I don't know what you do to solve their problem. But in regards to low stakes activities that you can do to get the conversation going, even if you don't have a pre-established audience, getting out there and actually talking to people is going to help you build an audience. Start in a local community if you are a locally run business. And even if you're not a locally run business, going out there and serving people and helping people is going to get you seen, is going to get you going. The more that you put yourself out there, even if it's uncomfortable, the more that you put yourself out there, the more that you're going to be seen doing well. And you can do this by these really easy starter things. For example, you can do polls and questions on stories or on LinkedIn or ultimately on any social media platform. Polls and questions are really low effort, high reward, and it can be enable a way to gauge where your community is at. Again, all aspects of your community. So, for example, something like, what's your go-to tool this week? Or something that asks questions to get feedback from all your community to get an idea of what works for them. Another thing that you can do on social media is this or that posts. You can use, for example, something that is comparable, for example, voice notes versus text replies, and people love an opinion. Maybe don't go something too decisive unless it is part of your brand, and feel free to check out my previous episode on standing for something, not just fonts. Go and check that out. If you're interested in not necessarily being decisive, but making sure that you stand and bring in people who stand with you on that opinion. So you can use that to, have people put in their opinion, especially if it's just one click. It's going to allow people to feel a lot better about making that decision. But also you can get the data and the insights to understand of okay, who is engaging with my posts? Who is seeing me more? Who is seeing my message? And you can take action on that. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You can also create mini behind the scenes, either videos or images or even aspects on your, say, for example, email list. You can run behind the scenes, either collections of videos or maybe even a podcast. I worked with someone who did a mini podcast that was only available on their email list that went through the behind the scenes of a product launch that they were doing, because all of their customers were also people who did product launches. So that was really interesting to do. And about 6 months later, they launched that as a mini lead magnet that people could access, that say outside of their email list could access to gain access to their email list. And it worked really, really well for them. So that's an idea that you can use to something that is easy, something that you can already do and impact into your current workflow. You can also use this opportunity to do client shout outs. Making sure that you say their name, tag them if it's on social media, and share what win that they were able to achieve. Now, of course, do this with their permission. Make sure you get their permission first. But people love, and also everyone loves free promo. So make sure that you can use that. And again, this is easy enough to get started. You're already doing the work, shout it out. And you can also use this opportunity as something that is easy enough for you to do, is you can do this by commenting in replies and in DMs that are, so don't sales pitch, want to stress, do not sales pitch, but talk to them like you're talking to a mate. And if they have a question that is in your wheelhouse or your zone of genius, and you're able to answer them relatively consistently in those comments and DMs, or if it's something that's a little bit more complex, answer it in the DMs, but make sure you put a comment saying, hey, I sent you a DM to either something that you've already done in some of the marketing that you've already answered to, or if you've got the time and energy to be able to give them the answer. Yes, it may not result immediately in, say, someone signing up and being like, I trust you, like you, I'm going to pay you money. It may happen. It's not going to be guaranteed, but it's easy enough for you to do and easy enough for you to do consistently. So you can get started on expanding your comfort zone. So too long, didn't read, Zoe. First of all, start with consistency. Even if it's once a week is a win. Remember, your community is bigger than just your potential customers and your buyers. Like I said, your community is your past clients, your potential clients, your referrals, and the fans who aren't going to buy from you, but are going to shout you from the rooftops. Always use simple prompts to start conversations and build relationships. Even if you don't have a pre-established audience, you can grow this. It's going to take time, but it's going to take effort from you. And ultimately, keep it human. No awkward salesy robots allowed while you're trying to build this community, but also just trying to not feel like a pest. Hopefully, Tristan, I've answered your question in this very long and lengthy podcast episode, but hopefully I've been able to answer this for you. And even if you are not Tristan, please do reach out via my email. This is Zoe, Z-O-E, @vcc.training, where you can talk to me everything about your personal branding and video marketing woes. Everything else you can check out on the website, vcc.training. I probably should promote the thing that I am talking about. You can always check out the show notes for all the other details about other podcast episodes that are related to the subject that will definitely help you out. And in the meantime, feel free to just check out my Pick My Brain sessions, where you can chat with me for an hour about whatever subject you like, and we'll give you clear actions on what to do next. Love ya. Bye. Thank you for listening or watching Unboring Your Brand. You can find detailed show notes with tools, offers, and episode transcriptions. Just click the first link in the description or go to vcc.training/podcast. Get involved and ask me anything about personal branding, video strategy, or just a friendly small business chat via my email, g'day@vcc.training. That is GDAY@vcc.training. The Video Confidence Coach would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which I record my podcast. I pay my respects to their elders past and present. I stand with the traditional custodians of these lands in working towards a more equal future. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Look forward to me chatting at you next week, superstars.